I was sitting on the couch. She stood above me like, what happened? Were you drinking? How much did you drink? She was asking me such invasive questions and like demanding that I answer them. I actually said to her, I'm in freeze mode right now still. Like I had just been raped in my own bed. Honestly, I think it was probably like, we need to get justice for you. We need to get it right away. But what do I need in that moment?
Welcome to part 2 of 2 with my guest, Emily Quint. Emily is an advocate, author of the book My Sunflower Soul, and she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Emily shares her harrowing journey through emotional, physical, and sexual trauma and her path to healing. This episode, we discuss the trial for her accused rapist and her struggles with fertility after the rape and cancer treatment.
And then COVID hit. Like that was the end of 2019 and then COVID hit.
Wait, you had COVID in Ontario too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just a Regina thing.
It's just a Regina thing, imagine.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. You had me there. I was like, seriously, there's no way. But yeah, then 2020 and 2021, I would say they were what they were. Yeah.
We were all just surviving then.
We were all just surviving. It's true. I would say my alcohol use definitely increased. And I think that that's very common. That was very common for some folks then. I'm doing the math and you would have been sober through that. Wow.
Big time sober.
Good for you.
Well, it's funny. COVID was like extremes, addictions amped up, but also a lot of people got sober too.
Yeah.
I was so glad they did, because for years I couldn't find any good non-alcoholic beer. Then all of a sudden everybody and their dog's making amazing non-alcoholic beer. I'm
so
like,
true.
I can have a stout again.
Yeah. And now there's so much.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, grocery store fake beer.
Yeah.
Num num.
The grocery store stuff. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then started like drinking on my own. Like before then, there were definitely some times, but it was more like trying to gather people so that I didn't look like I was the only one drinking alone. Because if you're drinking with other people, you're not an alcoholic. You don't have alcohol issues.
I'm a social drinker.
Yeah.
I'm just social every night.
Yes. But during then, yeah, it definitely started to creep in and be like, okay, I'll have like a bottle or two of wine alone. And then in the beginning of 2022, I had a friend of mine over. And so she lived in my condo at the time. And we were friends. And then we also like worked together. So we got together, we were just like talking about like the shitty week that we had. And we were on Snapchat and like messaging people like that we were like together and having a girls' night. And so a guy from work was like, well, I'd love to come like hang out as well. And we're like, yeah, sure. You're welcome to come. He was a volunteer at the workplace. So
where were you working?
So it was an organization called Kids with Incarcerated Parents. So it's a very, very small nonprofit just outside of Toronto. And I was counseling children and youth who had a parent who was either in jail or in prison, and just providing them with emotional support. And yeah, so he was a volunteer and he ended up coming over, and we were having some drinks.
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah. This is a story that I share often because I do a lot of advocacy around it. But around 6 a.m, I woke up and he was raping me. Yeah.
In your own house?
In my own house, in my own bed.
Emily, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was like, once again, like in that moment, it was like, someone that I trusted, right? Like I trusted this person, and what the hell? And like, honestly, I had nights before where I'd have parties or I had friends over, and that's just the way I was. It was like, I'm going to go to bed Everyone else, let yourself out. Like there were no strangers who were there. It was people who I was friends with or knew from work. I trusted these people and I never thought that anything like this would ever happen. So when I woke up and he had pulled himself out of me and then ejaculated on my stomach, and I was frozen, completely frozen. With the ex-boyfriend who would sexually assault me, there were times when like I would fight back. I would say no. I would like kick and scream and like put up a fight. There was like I was sleeping and I woke up and then you're just like fully blank. Like my mind was just gone. Like I don't know. Like it's so weird to think about because it's like I have no idea where I actually was in that moment. Um, and he then like rolled over and went to sleep. So it was just as if he was allowed to do that. Like it was okay with what he did. Like it wasn't like he was like, okay, like I need to run and leave, right? It was like he was he had just completely normalized it and then fell asleep. And I had my Apple Watch on. And so I wrote to a friend, I said, "Are you awake?" They weren't. It was 6 a.m. And then I ended up going into the shower. I felt so dirty. Like I felt disgusting. I write this in my book. I remember like wanting to unzip myself from my skin. Like it was like, how do I get this skin off of me? Like I don't want this to be mine anymore.
At any point where you're like, did I come on to him? Like, what was this consensual or was I just drunk?
At that point, I don't remember thinking it at that point. I remember like waking up and being like, what the like just so confused because I was asleep and I was like so confused also like
It's not like you came to from a blackout. You were
yes.
asleep.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So it was like, how? And like, I remember, like, I had remembered grabbing rice crackers from my shelf and going to bed alone. So I was just like, how am I in this space right now? Like, what's going on? So I went into the shower, sitting in the shower and just letting it hit me. And once again, like, I don't know, it's just like my go to. It was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Did I cause this? How can I exist? Like that's when all those thoughts hit me. Like it was like getting hit with like a beehive. All of a sudden, just like stinger, 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 stinger. It was so overwhelming. I texted my friend who was there that night. She obviously wasn't in my apartment anymore. And I said, "What happened?" She said, "Oh my God, Emily, call the police. I'm so sorry." And then I
So now you
texted,
have to make a decision
yeah.
again.
Then I texted my other friend, my best friend, who lives like lived further away, and I told her, and she's like, you don't have to call the police, but you have to call your mom. You have to tell your mom." And I have such a close relationship with my mom that I did end up calling my mom. The shower was running. This fucking man is still in my bed. And I call my mom and I'm bawling. And she couldn't understand what I was saying. She was like, "The police need to come because this is a wellness check. Like, my daughter is going to kill herself." And I don't know. I don't remember what I was saying to my mom. Like, I might have said, "I'm going to kill my," I don't remember. Then one of my friends like texted me and said, "Text him and tell him that he needs to leave your apartment now. Tell him that I'm coming," like the one who lived just on the floor above me. "Tell him that I'm coming down now and he has to leave." And so I thought he was asleep, but he read my text and then left. Like the door closed and I ran over to the door and like double locked it. But it was like, what am I fucking locking it for? Like I've already been violated. The bad thing already happened. And then I looked back at my bed and was just like, I broke down and ended up sitting on the couch. And I kid you not, 15 minutes later, I get a bang at the door. "Emily, open up. It's the Toronto police." Um, and
Coming
I
to arrest
couldn't.
you again.
That's the thing, right? I
Yeah.
hadn't had good experience with police. So I sat on the couch. I was like, I didn't call them. So I was starting to get a little like, who called them? This isn't what I want. And I didn't answer the door. And then they hit it again. Like, "We're going to open up if you don't open up." And so I scampered over. I had like a big pink blanket covering me. And I answered the door, and then a man and a woman cop came in. He was amazing. He got down on my level, like sat, like asked if he could sit on the couch, then sat on the couch, really calm and meeting me where I was at. I had just been raped. He was meeting me there, understanding that and recognizing that. Whereas the woman was this little fiery thing who came in. I was sitting on the couch. She stood above me like this. What happened? Were you drinking? How much did you drink? So she was like a little, I don't know, like a pit bull. I don't know, pit bulls can be kind too, but this it was just she was asking me such invasive questions and like demanding that I answer them right then and right there. I actually said to her, I'm in freeze mode right now still. Like I was just raped in my own bed. I woke up, I was sleeping. Can we just take a moment? She's asking me for questions that I hadn't even processed yet. Honestly, I think it was probably like we need, once again, like the cop who came into the ambulance, it was like we need to get justice for you. We need to get it right away, which 100%. But what do I need in that moment? Right? Like it's like you're not meeting me where I'm at and what I like ask me right now what I need. Why aren't
Mm-hmm.
you asking me what I need? You're asking me what happened and if I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want to say she said something like how much did you drink? I remember her saying something like what were you wearing? It was really really hard. So my mom had also called my brother and his girlfriend who lived in Toronto, and it was because my mom had called the police. I found out that later. She thought that it was that I was going to kill myself. And so they came into it. The police came in not knowing that I had been raped. And when I had shared that, that's when she was like hard pressing me for these questions. And there was a lot around like time matters. Like it's like a ticking time bomb. We have to get evidence. Like you have to think about what you want to do. We need to put guys like this away. Right. So, like, I get it. I 100% get it. And that's not the time to put the pressure on me, right? Like, you need to be asking me different questions, asking me what I need. Do I need a freaking glass of water? Like,
And I understand there's personalities like hers where if she was raped, it's like angry first, not
yes.
complete freezing first. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
So my brother and his girlfriend showed up, and that definitely that gave me like some strength because it was familiar face. Oh, sorry. So the ambulance also showed up. So it was two paramedics. So all of a sudden, and that was before my brother and his girlfriend showed up, but all of a sudden in my tiny, tiny apartment in Toronto, it was three men and one woman,
Strangers.
strangers. And it was like we need to check you out, we need to like take your vitals. I don't doubt that they were good people, I don't doubt that, but in that moment when you've just been violated, it's like please don't come anywhere near me. Can I just like take a beat here? So yeah, my brother and his girlfriend showed up, and that provided me with some strength that it was like, okay, let's go to Women's College Hospital, which is where they would do the rape kit. So I had all of that completed, and I started to get physically ill, like started to throw up. The nurse had said to me, like, I do notice like significant bruising around your ankles and your thighs, and so we want to get pictures of that. But I can see how you're not feeling the greatest right now. So how about you come in a few days later and like we can do that. And so that was nice, right? Those bruises won't fade in a day or two, right? They're still going to be there. So it doesn't have to be done right now. And then when I got back to my apartment, the detective showed up. By this time, I was repeatedly vomiting. I felt like a little kid who had the flu. Like I felt like I was 4 years old again and had an awful flu that was just making all of my insides come out. Like it was just it was as if I had reverted back to being young. And the detective saw me, and once again, he was great. He was like, how about you come down in the next 2 days? Like right now, I'm not going to beg you for a statement. Like you're in no space to give me a statement. Here's my contact information. You give me a call or you text me in the next few days, and then we can go from there. Meanwhile, the man who had assaulted me texted me and said, hey, how are you doing? I just want to clear the air. And
While the cop was there? Oh, snap.
and so I shared that with the cop and they're like, send that to us immediately, block him, do not respond. So I did all that. And then my parents showed up and they stayed with me for the next little while. And then a few days later, I did go to the detective and I did. I did. It was like about an hour and a half of me sharing everything. I knew his name. I knew which city he lived in. I knew where he worked. And people may not realize that, but when you have to, or when you give your first statement to the detective, they ask you all of that. They ask you what the person looked like, what their height was, what like race, ethnicity, how you knew them, if you know where they live, if you know their name, how did you refer to them, right? So they ask you all of those questions. I never like realized that before. I thought it was, you just go in and you just tell them what happened. There's a lot more to it than that. Um, and so to actually have the answers to most of those things definitely helped.
Just go to his
Um,
Facebook. Be like, here he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then with him texting me, they then had his number and his little pic because he had messaged me on WhatsApp. So it was like his little picture as well as like my friend was there that evening. So she then became a witness. So yeah. And then began the most excruciating thing of my life. And I know that, we've already talked about things today that have been excruciating and horrific, but this one, I don't know. I think this one takes the cake because you expect the justice system to protect you. And when it leaves you worse off than you were before, it really makes you question the whole world.
This is why women don't report. Did you go to court? Was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was found not guilty?
Are you ready for this?
Oh, Jesus. I think so.
um, this is so um, from there, they 2 weeks later, they had enough evidence and everything that they pressed charges. They finally found him, or actually, they made contact with him, so he turned himself in. And then I heard from the Victim Witness Assistance Program, and they like had provided me with some resources, and they said that they would be my point of contact, and they would provide me with all the updates with regard to like trial if he pled guilty or whatnot. He was charged February of 2022, and March of 2023 was when I found out that we would be going to trial. So he had pled not guilty, and I was subpoenaed to testify as a witness to a crime that was committed against me.
What? Not a
Yeah,
victim. You're a
no.
witness. Weird. Okay.
So the way that the Canadian, even though it was in the Ontario court, but the way that it's viewed here is that it's a crime committed against the crown. It's actually like people don't realize that. So I'm a witness. I'm actually not viewed as the person who was harmed. It was against the crown. So trial was scheduled for July 5th to 7th in 2023. And so there was some prep done before that. I had to rewatch the video of the police coming into my apartment the first time, and then also the detective when I sat down and spoke with him. So got to watch both of those. And there were some testimonial aids that they had said that they could potentially apply for. And so the one that I received was that I could have a support animal beside me as I testified. So I had that. On July 5th, we went to the courthouse. Trial was expected to begin at 10. And when I got there, they said, there's no room for you.
What do you mean?
That's what I said. I said, what do you mean, no room? Well, there's actually no team here to hear the case. So I was like, oh, like, did we get double booked? No, we're experiencing staffing shortages. So in the whole courthouse right now, only 2 courtrooms are proceeding with cases today. The other ones don't have staff to hear the case.
They just found out that morning?
Allegedly. So it was stay till after lunch. We'll hope that we can find a team to hear the case. And so they needed a judge, a clerk, and a transcriber. And so I waited there until after lunch, and they came and said, it's not going to happen today, Emily. go home and we'll try again tomorrow. So I'm like, what is happening? Like, I didn't even know that that was a possibility. Like, and it did anger me because it's like, here I've been given a subpoena to attend. If I don't attend, I can get in shit. But all of a sudden, I attend and there's no space. Well, not that there's no space, there's no team.
Right. The
So,
space is there. It's just empty.
yeah, how does this even happen? But I'm like, okay, there's no way it's not going to happen tomorrow. There's no way. There's no way. So we return tomorrow or the next day. We return the next day. Same thing. There's only one team that's here to hear the case, and it's a case that is extending from yesterday. You are the next, like in the terms of priority, you're the next case. So we're hoping we can find a team to hear the case today. So I sat down with the detective because the Crown, it's hard to like, you can't actually like really talk to them. But I sat down and was like to the detective, like, what is happening? I'm sure there would have been some warning signs that this was going to happen. He's like, honestly, Emily, it's been happening for a long time.
Was this because of COVID and backlogs and all that shit?
So backlogs because of COVID. And then uh, the government of Ontario made a wonderful decision to close down all the mini courtrooms that were like around Toronto area, like on the outskirts. So to close all those down and then make one mega courthouse downtown Toronto. And so staff were pissed. They didn't want to have to go into downtown. And so it sounds like there was a lot of pushback that was anticipated and could have been planned for. So I was like, okay, well, somebody should have told everyone here because I'm still like, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that I was told to be here yesterday. I was told to be here today. It's not like this is like something fun that I want to do. So the detective, honestly, he was great. He said, Emily, don't come in tomorrow. I'll give you a call and let you know the status of what the day's going to look like. And I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, is this ever going to get heard? And like, what happens if tomorrow it doesn't get heard? Like, is the case done? Is it over? Like, I don't know how this works. And they didn't really have answers. So the next morning, a little bit before 11, the detective called me and said, we have a team, we have a room. How fast can you get here? So we're running down the streets of Toronto to get to the courthouse. They were like, go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and like composed myself as quickly as I could. And by 11:20, I was on the stand. So I testified for a few hours and then there was a lunch. And then in the afternoon, I was cross examined by the defense lawyer. Um, I was so mad. Like, and I had met with a lawyer prior to like prepare. And so she had said with sexual assault cases, they're going to say that you consented. Like, that's the route that they're going to take, right? And it's going to be he said, she said, because no one else was in that room with you. So I had prepared for that. But then, like, she was saying things that just weren't true. Like, she was like, you were awake, you wanted it, you asked him to have sex with you, like, you were the one who did this. And it was just, I like really had to compose myself because I was just, what the fuck? You're a woman telling me that I did this. That was probably the hardest part. But I was really well prepared. If I wouldn't have had that conversation before and she would have said all of these disgusting things about me, that would have been so hard. I don't know how I would have reacted, but because I had, in a sense, prepared and been told like the likely route that she would take, it was more anger because it was like, you're literally doing what the textbook says to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did get those images taken and everything. So that was presented. Unfortunately, and as graphic as this is, I do like to tell people because it's like, what the hell? But I had significant internal tears and damage. That wasn't admissible in court because some people like kinky sex.
Huh.
Yeah. 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 That was a point of contention. Yeah. So that was interesting. But yeah, so in the afternoon, the judge had said, thank you so much for being here, Emily. Like, your part's done. You're now dismissed. You're welcome to stay, but you're like dismissed from the stand. And so I went out into the hallway and then went into the debrief room because then I found out they were doing closing statements for that day. They had still planned to bring my friend as a witness for the Crown. And then it sounds like he was also going to be testifying as well. But the Crown and the detective then came into the room to have a debrief. And they were like, Emily, like, you did amazing. Like, we're so proud of you. The judge wants to hear the rest of the case to its like in its entirety. So, because of these staffing shortages and because of like the court delays and backlogs, judges were given added discretion to toss cases that lacked evidence or they didn't think would result in a conviction because they needed to figure out this backlog, right? If there wouldn't have been enough presented today, then it would have been over. But the judge said, nope, I want to hear it till its end. The next available dates were November 9th and 10th. So a few months later, I was like, whatever. I've done my part. I felt like I did really well. And I told him what he did to me. So I felt really good. I felt really good leaving. Like, as hard as it was, I've been harmed by multiple men. And I finally stood up and said, what you did was not okay. And you need to hold yourself accountable. So, a week before trial was set to resume in November, I got a call from the Crown or from the victim witness assistance program. Yeah. And they needed to have an urgent meeting with me. So we joined Zoom like about an hour later. And there was someone on the call I had never seen before. And she introduced herself as the Crown's supervisor. And she said, Emily, the charges have been stayed.
For those of you
And,
that don't know, that means they were dropped, basically.
and I said, what? Like you just said there, Todd. What does stayed mean? Like, that's the first time that I had heard that language. So I was like, wait, what do you mean? What does stayed mean? It was, he's been acquitted. It's over. And I was like, wait, what?
How? There was no trial. How was what?
How? Like, last I had heard, the judge wanted to hear this case to its end. What is going on? And she said, the defense put through a motion to have the charges stayed. And so in Canada, the Canadian Charter for Rights and Freedoms, Section 11B is the accused's right to a timely trial. So,
Fuck off.
yeah.
He's like, this is taking too long, so I should be let go.
Yeah. So, in provincial level courts, from the time of a charge to the end of the trial, 18 months. So, we were 18 months. So, we were 17 months when the trial was. August would have been 18 months, November, 21 months. And there's nothing that can be done. So, just as an aside, in superior level courts, so like the Canadian court level, it's 30 months. So I said, what? Like, and she was just like, there's nothing you can do. I said, who can I appeal this to? There's no way that this is over. There's no way. And she's like, Emily, it's over. Like, there's nothing you can do. It's best if you just move on with your life, is what she fucking said to me.
Get over it.
Get over it.
Were you drinking still at this point?
No, I was sober.
Oh, must have been tempting.
It was probably the closest, because so we got married September 22nd of 2023, and that was my last day drinking. So I was sober as of September 23rd, and this happened November 2nd. I said, so the Crown's at fault because how come they agreed to the dates, the November dates, knowing that they'd be out? So it's called Jordan timeline. How come they agreed to those dates? And then the Crown supervisor said to me, this is something that's only recently been implemented. The Crown did everything great. She lied to me. It's a quick Google search. R versus Jordan, which was the precedent, is from 2016. So it's been around for that long. Yeah, I just kept saying, who can I appeal this to? And she's like, no one. There's no one. It's over. And I said, then I'm going to the media. And she said, the media already knows. And I went to the media.
Did they know?
They knew, but they never had a victim survivor come forward with their full identity. And so over the last little while, like since I went public with what had happened to me, And then I was connected with someone who has become one of my best friends. She created a coalition. It's called Survivors for Justice Reform, and it's survivors, supporters, and allies of sexual violence, intimate partner violence, and human trafficking, asking for other alternatives to the criminal justice system as we know it. So, like, having conversations around like restorative justice and transformative justice, and as well as like other pathways to healing, right? Because this system is not serving survivors. It was never designed to serve survivors. And so it's been such an incredible community for me to be a part of. And I've met so many folks who also have had their sexual assault cases stayed due to Jordan. And so you start to actually see, like, holy shit, I'm actually not the only one. Like, this is happening every day. We still hear about cases being stayed.
Across Canada or?
Yeah. And yeah, like literally across like there were quite a few folks in Nova Scotia who had reached out to me, as well as BC, but I'm pretty sure I've heard from every province, maybe not Quebec. Folks have been like, "Yep, Jordan ruined my life as well."
Not Jordan Peterson.
Not
Diff-
Jordan Peterson.
different Jordan.
I'm sure there's people that are saying that too, but yeah, no. The Jordan timeline, yeah.
Hey, I gotta tell you, having a podcast isn't all that easy. Especially in this day and age when trends and things are changing so quickly. I can't keep up with it, and honestly, I don't like doing it. I like the creating part. That's why I reached out to Carrie Hyman. She's the genius behind Your Voice Consulting. With more than 25 years of experience in communications and engagement, Carrie helps organizations connect with purpose and clarity. Known for her practical approach and steady leadership, she's built lasting relationships across industries and communities, guiding teams to communicate with confidence, empathy, and impact. And I can tell you, she is a long-term good friend of mine, and all of that is 100% true. So if you have an organization or a corporation of any kind, and you're spinning your tires, or you're needing some extra help, some advice, I'm telling you right now, go to yourvoiceconsulting.com and contact Carrie.
I'm still dealing with it. I think when I do a lot of speaking engagements around this topic, and I spoke to Doug Downey, who is the minister of the attorney general here in Ontario. I've spoke to like the deputy who's just below him. Like, I've spoke to various levels of government as well, and I've spoken Queen's Park. And I think something that I always try to share is the rape was horrific. And I, just as anyone else who is a survivor or a victim or a thriver, however they want to identify with, that should have never happened to them, and they shouldn't have to navigate that. And how I was treated throughout the process within the justice system and how I was treated afterwards, like, there's no excusing that behavior. Like, that system should be protecting us. And so I think that that's what I try to like scream from the rooftops. It's like, yes, the assault was awful. And what happened after, in my opinion, with my story, was even worse. I even allude to like I was assaulted twice. Once by a man I thought I could trust, and once by an entire system. So, as you can hear, though, like, I am very passionate about this. I think that that's been a huge thing in my healing journey, is taking my anger, taking my pain, turning it into purpose for myself, right? Like, whatever that looks like. It's definitely one of the stories that I was like, this could be a book. And so that's what kind of got my mind going. Maybe I do write a memoir. This is where I can lay this out, because even when I spoke to media, they were very cautious in what they said, right? Because they don't want to be like, fuck the government, right? Like, the crown really messed up this case and is messing up these cases. They can't really say that. And so I felt like in some ways I was being censored in a way, and that didn't feel, I need my full truth out there, because what happened to me is not an anomaly, and folks need to know, right? Like, even people who have right now been assaulted and are thinking about navigating that pathway, they need to know about these things, right? Like there needs to be a level of transparency and honesty. Just the basic trauma informed care pillars need to be there. So I'm doing much better than I was. But like I said, community plays such an important role. I think also every time that I share my story, I heal a little bit more, as well as like taking my focused anger and my focused pain and like really shifting that. How can I use my experience to better serve folks who come after me?
Well, you have my utmost respect and
Oh,
love, and I would love to give you a hug.
I would love that. Yeah. So, as you can hear, I'm still navigating it. It'll be 2 years in November, and it's something I would love to sit here and like share with you, share with everyone like the problem's fixed, it's not fixed, it's still happening.
Luckily,
There's
you had done some healing for other
yes,
stuff, so you had a nice base around you. You had a good
yes,
support system around you too. But yeah,
absolutely.
not
Absolutely.
don't take that for granted.
No,
Yeah.
and I never will.
But in that throughout this time period of waiting for the trial to start and all that stuff, you met your now husband.
Yeah, so I knew him at the time when I was assaulted, but we didn't officially hang out until, so it's actually very interesting. So Brandon messaged me the night that the detective reached out to me and said that the perpetrator was going to turn himself in, that they had finally made contact with him. So Brandon had messaged me that night and asked me to go for coffee. It was a little bit earlier. First of all, it made me laugh because I don't drink coffee. And second of all, like if I were to drink coffee, I certainly couldn't do it at 8 p.m. But I said, because I was at my friend's out in Oshawa, which was about, I don't know, an hour or so from Toronto. He had said, yeah, had asked me for coffee. And I said, oh, I'm at my friend's. And then we just kept like messaging that night. And then when the message came through from the detective, I actually shared it with him. I said, have to be honest with you. Like, this is what I'm navigating right now. And he said, all of a sudden, he was going to come see me. He was going to come to my friends. He was going to come give me a hug. And he came, and I want to say he never left, but we did leave my friend's house. But it was just in that moment, I knew that this was someone different and someone that I like needed in my life. And I think part of me, like when I had reached out to him, sharing that message was kind of like, I hope he goes away. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I hope I scare him off because I'm probably not ready for a relationship and my track record is not great. So I hope that this is enough to just make him walk away. And it was the opposite. And so it was like, oh my gosh, like here I shared something like so intimate, like so personal. And he didn't walk away. He actually came to. I'll never forget that. It was like, wow, like even if we don't end up together, this is going to be a very important person in my life.
I'm surprised that wasn't a red flag for you, actually.
That's the thing, right?
It's like, oh, more love bombing. Oh, he's going to come
Right.
save me, blah, blah, blah.
And I think that is so important. And I've done so much healing that I think I was able to distinguish, right? Because it wasn't, I'm going to come and bring you flower. Do you know what I mean? Like bring you flowers and like bring you food and everything, right? Like
I
he
love you.
just
I
was
love you so much. I love you. You're so beautiful. You're
exactly.
so beautiful. I love you.
Yes.
Hmm.
There was a very big difference. It was like as if my friend was coming to see me to give me a hug. And then, I was with my friend and her cousin was there, so it was another guy as well. And her sister, right? So there were a few of us there.
Did you go to school with him, or how did you know?
So I knew him once again, interesting. At the time I was still working at Kids with Incarcerated Parents, and so I met him through there.
He was one of the
Um,
kids.
No, he was he was not a kid. It's actually funny though because he's 5 years younger than me, so that was like a running joke for a while.
Oh,
Like,
girl.
yeah, yeah. So I ended up meeting him through there.
So, did he know the perp too?
So he had seen him sometimes, so he had been aware. Didn't know him, but yeah. Yeah. So from there, it was, and people often have like even friends that I like meet through the coalition who are survivors as well. And we share our stories. So, did you meet your husband after, before, during? And, it is an important part of my story. And I think it did play such an important role to have him by my side. He did not falter through that.
So as an observer or as a listener of your story, I worry then, and I mean I'm not really worried because you're obviously quite happy together, but
Yeah.
as a friend, say I was one of your friends and I saw this happening, and now I'm like, oh shit, is she now codependent on this guy? Like you said everything you've gone through, that was the most traumatic thing, and now you also have this guy here that it's like, you know what I'm saying? How that could be
For sure. And I think my parents, they've never said this, but I think they were a little worried as well, like once they found out, because just like the timing too. Which interestingly, my mom and I did have conversations like after the assault. How am I ever going to trust anyone ever again? How am I ever going to be intimate with? Like that makes me want to vomit. It was just all these thoughts through my mind around like, I will probably be alone for the rest of my life. Like, I don't know how I'll be able to trust someone after what had happened to me. Right? It was like I have no idea.
so she was concerned?
I think so, like initially, but then they met him. Honestly, if everyone is always like, wow, you guys are just like a perfect, not perfect, no one's perfect, but you're just like a really good match. And then it did come out later, a few months into our relationship, that he's also a survivor, and he hadn't shared that with anybody. And so that brought us so close. And then we kind of like went on our healing journey together. And so that's when I had said earlier, like our traumas were kind of like hitting each other. We were like, okay, we really need to have some couples therapy as well as individual, because when he becomes triggered or distressed, he's more avoidant. So, and then I'm anxiously attached. So I'm like latching on. And then, so it was, we had to learn a lot about our trauma dance and like how to like disrupt that.
Trauma dance.
I know.
I like that. It's a cool band name.
I,
I
uh,
like it. Yeah, that's amazing that you two were emotionally intelligent enough to figure that out early on in your
and
relationship.
yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? We hear so much about, and we weren't married at the time, but there's so much around like how common divorce is now and like how people are just giving up in relationships and stuff. For us, it was never even a thought. We both knew what it felt like, right? Like we both, as teens, we both attempted suicide. We both navigated challenging high school. It was so
You trauma
interesting.
bonded.
Yeah, you know what? In a way, yes. But we've moved through it, right? Like now we're in such an incredible space. We do look back. Oh my gosh, we were just like kids when we first met. It was 3 years ago. But it seems like it's been a lifetime because there's been so much work that's been done. And I think for both of us, so many roots that were like untangled and things that were uncovered that were impacting not just our relationship, but ourselves, right? Like our own relationship with ourselves. And so I am such a big believer, if both partners are on board and wanting to transform, I will always say, if you can afford it, if you have insurance, go for couples counseling, because it's helped our relationship blossom in ways that like before I don't know if we ever could have gotten there.
You have to be willing to do the work.
That's it. Absolutely.
So now you're healing bonded.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Our house is a nice space, which is good.
But you've also trauma bonded about something else.
Yeah.
How recent is this? I could see it in your
So,
face that
so you're gonna find out more than people know. So
I am people.
I know more than like more than most.
Oh,
You're getting the hot tea, I guess. It's not tea, it's real life. So literally right around, the case was stayed November 2nd, November 23rd, we found out that we were pregnant. And it was the second month of trying. We, right after getting married, we knew we wanted to have children together. And we were ready, and just the happiest ever to find out.
Right.
It was so exciting.
So it's like, oh, my rapist is getting away, but I'm pregnant.
Yes. It was interesting. I was so, so happy, and at the same time, I was grappling with, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna bring a child into this world that
Sucks.
sucks, failed to protect me." That was definitely hard for me to wrap my mind around, and I grew up wanting to be a mom. I was going to be a teacher at one point. I love kids. I have two siblings. And so I always grew up, I'm going to have three kids. I'm going to be like my mom and I'm going to have three kids. And that was one of my dreams, right? It truly was. And so, yeah, finding out was like, okay, maybe this is to soften the blow a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what the universe is. I don't know. And with having had cancer, I didn't know what the impact would be on my fertility, right? And so the
Mm-hmm.
oncologist had said to me before treatment, it was add 5 years to your age and that's your fertility age. So I would have been 29, so it would be like 34. But then after treatment, she said, "No, honestly, Emily, you'll be like virtually unaffected. You didn't have to do like there's different forms of chemo that can be more harmful." And she was like, "You did the one that's better." So I was like, "Okay, good." But at the time I was 20, I wasn't thinking about having kids.
You're like, just get this cancer out of me. I don't care.
Yeah, just get this out of me, please. It was more my parents that were like, "Oh my gosh, we know Emily wants to have children," and asking those questions. So I'm glad they did. But at the end, didn't really get a answer. But when we got the news that I was pregnant, there was so much excitement because I had created this idea that it would take me a while to get pregnant, or I didn't know if I could get pregnant. So yeah, it was such a interesting time in our house. We all of a sudden were just so excited, like thinking about we found out at like 4 weeks and it was nursery, like let's think about the nursery and let's think about like names and let's think about like what our life is going to look like. And so we really really started to imagine what that life would look like. And we went in for our first scan, which was around 6.5, 7 weeks. And the ultrasound tech like said to me, you might have gotten your date wrong because it looks like it's a bit earlier than we would have expected. We would have expected to see a little bit more at this time. But it's okay. This is really common. Sometimes it's really hard to tell when you ovulated. So just come back in 2 weeks and we can do another scan. And like, I feel hopeful that we'll see something, is what she said. But 2 weeks would have been around the holidays, around Christmas. And so it was actually booked for 3 weeks. So, like the beginning of January. So we went back in. So I guess in that time frame, I felt very pregnant. Like, obviously, I was only like 8, 9, 10 weeks, but was feeling all the symptoms, already had morning or was dealing with the morning sickness and headaches. And it was just like really good signs that I was pregnant. I was growing life. We were almost out of the first trimester. And so we went in for the scan, and she said, "You know what? I'm seeing more than last time, but I think you still like you said you would be 10 weeks today. It seems like you would be more like 6.5 weeks today." And so in my head, that was like, okay, something's not right here. But she said, "Come back in another week and we'll do it again." And I'm like, so I left there like feeling crushed. And I knew at that moment what was happening. It didn't make sense that I could have like missed ovulation by like 4 weeks. Like I knew when it had happened. We had been tracking, and I think my body also knew, or my mind knew, that something wasn't right in my body, even if my body didn't know it yet. So that night I was hysterical. I said to Brandon and like called my parents and I was like, "It's over. Like it's over before it even began." Like they said, "Well, Emily, why don't you go to the hospital and they'll do another scan and you can get a second opinion." And so we went to the hospital. They took blood work. They did another scan. And she said to me, she said, "There's no heartbeat." Um,
Do you think they would have found a heartbeat in the ultrasound or no heartbeat in the ultrasound?
So the day before, didn't say anything about a heartbeat, just said like, "Oh, you're not 10 weeks. You miscalculated it.
Do you think she knew and just
Yeah,
she knew there was no
probably.
heartbeat and just,
Probably, yeah. Which
I don't know what to think of that.
which they're not supposed to say anything to you at all. It's supposed to go back to your
Oh,
doctor, and your doctor, like, they're not even, she wasn't even supposed to tell me that baby was measuring behind. It all is supposed to go through doctor, like everything, even like gender related things. So, but the lady at the hospital, because I went, my thing was, I think I'm having a miscarriage or a missed miscarriage because I don't really have symptoms. It just, this is what the scans showed, and it does not make sense, like at all. The numbers don't make sense. So the ultrasound tech said, I'm so sorry. There's no heartbeat. And then I went back out to see Brandon. He was in the emerge room, and a doctor came out soon and was like, "You're having a miscarriage. Let me get you connected to the OBGYN who can then provide you with 3 options." So,
again, here's a bunch of trauma. What decision do you want to make?
yeah, again, yeah. So I was really like, this is like a sick joke. Like, I don't know. I also felt betrayed by my body because my body still thought that I was pregnant, and
Right.
like, baby stopped growing weeks ago. Like, what's happening? So I had to do a lot of research around that, like to try to make sense of it, because that was really hard to try to wrap my head around. So the next day we met with the OBGYN, and he said I could pass the miscarriage naturally, I could take some medicine, or I could have a surgery. And I opted for the surgery. I said, I've been through enough. And I knew it would really traumatize me. Like, it truly would. I knew it wouldn't be good. So the following morning, I was scheduled for my surgery. So things moved really quickly. I think they had realized everything would have stopped growing like 4 weeks ago, right? So, like, then the risk for infection goes up. So it was like, we got to move. Surgery was scheduled for 8, and I woke up at 5 in the morning and had started miscarrying naturally. It was horrific. I was so mad. You couldn't you couldn't have spared me this.
Fuck you and your timing with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was in so much pain. Like, it was shooting pain down to my, like, from my pelvis area down to my toes. I couldn't breathe through it. Blood clots all over the floor. Like, it was like a crime scene.
You were still at home when this was happening?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Brandon was like, I'm taking you to the hospital now. Like, I'm taking you in. We went in, and everything happened shortly thereafter. Like, they took me in, they did the surgery. Yeah, and I woke up, and it was kind of surreal, cuz like, I've had surgeries before, and I always say it's like the best sleep of your life when you wake up from the anesthetic. I felt good when I woke up, and then the magnitude of what had happened hit me, and it was like, fuck. It's over. Like, everything that I wanted and everything that I've dreamed of was just like taken from me. And like, why? Like, I had just dealt with so much that it was just like, I don't understand why this has to happen. I was in a really dark place. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you end up having the surgery then? So,
Yeah.
okay. So they gave you options and your body picked two.
Yes. Picked two. Yeah.
God.
But it's a newfound, I don't know, awe or respect for people who pass miscarriages naturally, because I'm telling you right now, like, that I've never felt anything like that. And there's the emotional element too, right?
Of
Like, it's
course,
like you're
yeah.
physically in so much pain, and then you emotionally realize like why. Um
Was your body, it's almost like your mind and body were one when you were pregnant. And then when your mind realized that there was no heartbeat, then your body accepted it.
yeah, 100%.
Crazy to think about.
I think the body needed to hear it. I just, that timing is so wild to me. Like, how can it unfold in like 3 days? I just, yeah,
Yeah. Brains and bodies are weird.
I know. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm dying to know, are you able to have kids?
So we tried, like, as soon as the surgery happened and then I got my period again, we tried the first 2 cycles, And then I was like, okay, I need to heal. I was so mentally unwell because to me, that was our child, right? So it was like, what am I doing trying to replace that baby with another baby? Like, I just need to chill, focus on myself, and grieve, right? Like that, you can probably tell I'm a big feeler and I wasn't letting myself feel it. And I was like, this isn't going to get me anywhere. So that was January of 2024. And we didn't start trying again until October of 2024. So I took a few months, and so did Brandon, right? Because, you know, both of us play a role in this. And then I started to look into fertility clinics because I wanted to know a lot. Like, I wanted to know, is this going to be hard? Because it wasn't hard to get pregnant, right? Like, that happened really quickly. But what does that then look like? So we connected with a fertility clinic. We had done like a full assessment and everything. Everything looked good. Like, there was nothing that they were like is alarming. They said chemo might have impacted my egg quality, but that's something that they wouldn't be able to know until if we were to get to something like IVF, where they actually take the eggs out, then they would be able to tell something more in terms of quality. So we still are linked up with the fertility clinic. We did a few timed intercourse circles with them, or cycles with them, which is basically, so I just go in and they basically track the follicle, and then they tell us when to have intercourse. And
Now.
literally, it's like by the end, you're like, okay, we're just machines here. So I had to keep reminding myself, like, this is for a baby. This is for a baby. This is for your dream.
You're in the middle of a fight.
Like,
Fuck you. You
yeah.
know what? Fuck you. Oh, no. Oh.
Honestly, there were some times like that it would be like, this is the last thing I want to do. But yeah. Then we got to a point where they're like, okay, let's move to the next, which is IUI. And so that's also known as like artificial insemination. So they actually like they take the sperm and put it into the uterus, kind of where it needs to go, like helps it with that. The first one of those was unsuccessful, unfortunately, but the second one was successful. And so I would have been 6 weeks. But on Saturday, I had another miscarriage. Yeah. So I hear you with things being early. It's still like so freaking gut wrenching. And that's what I said about you get the insider scoop because it took us a year this time to get pregnant. But
This is Monday,
we
just for people to understand what, like, this is 2 days ago you found out.
2 days ago, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I am so sorry. And,
Yeah.
and
So
like, you were so, and like, just thank you for being so vulnerable with something so fresh and
yeah.
obviously upsetting and emotional.
Yeah. And I think, that's what I believe in though. Like I believe in power in sharing your story and being vulnerable. Um
And I'm not a safe
and
space. Like,
yes, you are.
sorry. I always have to add some humor when shit gets real. I'm like, no, this is too real. Be silly
No,
now.
I know. I know. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you always have me laughing. Um yes, yes. But so I found out I was pregnant on October 14th. And they had me closely monitored, like just making sure that things were increasing and everything looked good. And then, unfortunately, on my 32nd birthday, I found out that my HCG had dropped. So that was the perfect birthday present. Yeah. So just
So
on,
Saturday's your birthday too?
no, so on Wednesday, it was on Wednesday, I
Oh.
found out that my HCG had dropped and they had basically said, like,
Oh.
expect a miscarriage in the coming days. And so, yeah, it was just about waiting. So I was in the clinic again today. Things are looking good. My body has been able to pass, like it's the miscarriage is almost complete. And they had said, kind of given now having a second loss, but everything on paper looking good. It's looking like it's a chromosomal abnormality. So, like DNA fragmentation or something. So what they've suggested is that we move to IVF, and we're very much like we're on board for that.
You have to
I
sell
can't.
your house, but
So the first one is government funded.
oh,
Thank goodness. Yes. Yeah. The first one's government funded. And then from there, yeah, it would be 40 grand or something.
hmm.
But the last few days have been really hard. And honestly, I was like, do I meet with Todd or do I like reach out and say to reschedule? But I'm so glad that I didn't reschedule. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to connect today.
Me too.
Um, and
Again, now I want to hug you like I
I
wanted to hug you
know,
before I found out you just had a miscarriage 2 days ago.
I know. Yeah.
Jesus.
I think like I'm not out of hope yet. I'm not. I still feel that it's going to happen.
Well, my sister's lost 3 or 4 and she has 2 kids. So
That's so beautiful. Like, and I think like that's, oh my gosh, Kay, but seriously, when this child comes, they are going to destroy us. Like, they're going to give us a run for our money because they've been difficult since the get go.
yeah. They'll be like double spoiled, triple spoiled.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, everything looks good though. Like,
Yeah, well that's good.
it's not without risks, right? Like, and that's another thing. Like, it doesn't, yes, it's like whatever, 40% result in live births, which is way more than any form, like any like natural conception or IUI or anything. And it's not 100%, right? It doesn't guarantee that you're gonna end up with a child. Honestly, this last year, I've been on fertility medications for an entire year. Sometimes I'm like it's really hard because it's like, am I slipping? I'm sorry, this is like, am I slipping back into a depression or is it the hormones? And then I get through that period and I'm like, it's the fucking hormones, right? Like it truly messes with you. And so we wouldn't hop into IVF right away. Just it does take a bit of time. Like our consult isn't until the end of next month. Yeah, there's definitely fear around that, around what it looks like and what the end result is. And I'm lucky because there are some people in my life who have navigated it and who have living children, right? So that just reminds me like it'll be worth it.
Well, thank you so much for
Mm.
I mean, you don't have to buy her book now. You heard it all
Yeah,
here, folks.
it's true. It's
No,
true.
no. Just yeah, thank you so much for reaching out and for being so incredibly sweet and vulnerable and just lovely and vulnerable. And being vulnerable because you want not for your ego, but because you just want people to relate and to
Yeah.
help
No,
others.
it's so true, right? I think that was so important in my healing. It was like, I felt so much shame. This isn't actually my shame to carry. Like, none of this is my shame to carry. And when we're vulnerable, I think that, like, that shame can't exist anymore because we've reclaimed our voice and we've reclaimed our power. And so I think that's really what pushed me forward. I would love for everyone out there to feel like they can share their story, that it's not a weakness. Remaining soft and remaining warm in this world, that's such a superpower. And it's so needed at now more than ever for people to be vulnerable and speak their truth and remain soft in a world that just like continues to try to harden all of us.
What's your book called and when's it out? Where can people get it? What's happening?
So
Is it
my
a
book is
coloring book?
called A Coloring Book, imagine. Oh, you're so funny. It's called My Sunflower Soul, a memoir. And so the title, My Sunflower Soul, is because even when things got dark and like they've been incredibly dark, I always saw, even if it was like a flicker of light, just like a flicker of something, there was always a little bit of light there. So sunflowers turn to face the sun. So that's what I say, that I'm a sunflower soul because I'm always trying to find that little piece of light, that little sliver, that little glimmer, wherever it is. And if I have to create it, then I have to create it. And it's available pretty much everywhere. Like Amazon.ca is probably where I send folks the most, but most bookstores would have access to it. They might just have to order it in, but it's also available through like Indigo and Chapters and Barnes and Noble, and there's ebooks. So through Kindle and Kobo and all of that fun jazz.
Good on you. Was writing the book healing?
It was really healing. So after the court case had happened, I didn't go back to work, and I haven't been back to work since. I've obviously, and now I'm doing my master's of social work. But for pretty much all of 2024, it was just about writing. That's my job, to write, to heal, to integrate the two. And it was like I was digging up things that I thought that I had healed from, or I thought that I had even like processed or touched. And it was like, whoa, no. So that was also really important.
It's an onion.
It's true, right? And then be like, okay, like now I have content for me and my therapist. Like, yeah.
And for what it's worth, Emily, I think you're going to make an incredible social worker and a fucking phenomenal mother.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much again to Emily Quint for the work you do and your vulnerability. This was recorded back in November, and I'm happy to say Emily and her husband are expecting a baby boy thanks to IVF. You can follow their journey by checking the links in the show notes. Please rate and review Bunny Hugs and Mental Health on Apple Podcasts or whatever app you are listening on. Please follow me on Instagram at Bunny Hugs Podcast and on Facebook, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. If you enjoy the podcast and my guests, please go to buymeacoffee.com, and under Bunny Hugs Podcast, you can leave a one-time or a monthly tip. Any amount is extremely appreciated. You can find all my links in the show notes or at www.bunnyhugspodcast.com. Until next time, please remember to make your beds and take your meds.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.